seen enough. The children of soul cry out for salvation. You promise them life, but deliver only death, as you have for so many before. Enough. Enough death. Enough life. You have no pieces left to place. The game is over. Do not be afraid. Your pale heart holds the key. This time, there is no escape.
What's up guys, my name's Timbo and welcome back to some more Destiny 2. In this video, I'm going to explain the ending of the Witch Queen campaign, recapping the final moments, breaking down what's going on with the Black Fleet and the Witness, and taking my best guess at where the story is heading in the raid and beyond. Over the years, I've handled these ending explained videos in a wide variety of ways. Sometimes I just talk about the ending, but other times I provide an entire lengthy plot analysis, filling those who haven't played the game in on all the necessary information. For the sake of time, I'm just going to cover the ending this time around. When it comes to Destiny expansions, I normally make one video on the campaign, and then a second video once the raid comes out, and I plan to do that this time around as well. I don't want to cram a ton of extraneous stuff in this video, so I'll leave most of my thoughts on the campaign and the Witch Queen as a whole out of this. But just for the record, I was very impressed. This is by far the best campaign Destiny has ever had, and I don't think it's even close. Both the gameplay and the story were very, very good. With all that out of the way, let's break down the ending of the Witch Queen. Massive spoilers ahead, in case you somehow didn't already know that. While the main storyline of the Witch Queen is well told, newcomers to Destiny or people that haven't followed the lore or played the game in a while might be confused as to what is going on, particularly with worm gods and the origins of the Hive. Bungie altered a lot of information about the Hive and the Traveler in this expansion, and if you came into the Witch Queen with little knowledge about Fundament and the Collapse, these plot twists might have gone right over your head. Before the Hive existed, they were known as a race called the Krill, and the Krill were pretty low on the food chain. The Krill's home planet was known as Fundament, and they existed to probably be killed off by some larger predator in the solar system. Savathun's father was known as the Osmium King, and he was driven mad due to a prophecy that told him of some impending cataclysmic event. After he was assassinated, Savathun, known as Sathona back then, took her father's weird worm pet and fled with her two sisters. Now here's the catch. The worm was actually the thing telling the Osmium King about said apocalypse. The worm then made a promise with Sathona, leading them to find refuge underground. There, Sathona and her sisters encountered the worm gods, making a pact with them and becoming the Hive. The worm gods provided the trio with immeasurable power in exchange for constant bloodshed. If you want to learn more about this event, just Google the Books of Sorrow. The Books of Sorrow are lengthy lore entries that tell you everything you need to know about the origin of the Hive. They came out alongside the Taken King expansion in Destiny 1. This story was left untouched until the Witch Queen, where we find out the worm was lying to Sathona all along. It turns out the sisters were actually going to be claimed by the Light and the Traveler, which is a huge twist for several reasons. Who we currently know as the Witness spoke through the worm and convinced them to become the Hive, essentially siding Sathona and her sisters with the darkness. The next logical question is asking who the Witness is. Before we talk about that, I want to clarify how Savathun managed to get a hold of the Light in the first place. During most of the campaign, Ikora blames herself as she unknowingly showed Savathun, thinking she was Osiris, all of the Vanguard's secrets. But we eventually learn this really isn't her fault, At the end of the Season of the Lost, Savathun and her worm are separated during a ritual led by Mara Sov. This worm is commonly referred to as a familiar, and a familiar is kind of like a pet that bonds with someone and the two become extensions of one another on a physical, mental, and spiritual level. The twist is that the ritual actually killed Savathun. She didn't fool everyone and steal the light right under our noses. Instead, a ghost named Imaru found Savathun outside of the last city and resurrected her. So, in other words, the Traveler chose to save her life. Just like the Traveler chooses to save us every time we accidentally blow ourselves up with Galahorn. Just like with Guardians, each resurrection removes the memories that individual has of their past life. During the campaign, we think we're one step ahead of Savathun, trying to discover how she stole the light, to hopefully learn how to defeat her, only to discover we were helping restore her memories the entire time. And she was in fact banking on this happening. She allowed us into her throne world, which is essentially her mind in physical form, in the hopes we'd solve the mystery for her and remind her what her plan even was in the first place. In the end, the Guardians manage to defeat Savathun, but her ghost Imaru escapes and will inevitably return and attempt to revive Savathun. Until then, her body will be held by the Vanguard. So, who's pulling the strings behind this entire thing? Who is the witness? What is the Black Fleet? And how does that tie into the collapse and this so-called darkness we've heard about since Destiny 1? It's important to remember Destiny has gone through a few rewrites over the years, and the ambiguous darkness force is one of them. So we'll likely learn more about this stuff throughout the year leading up to next year's Lightfall expansion. Another good example of when Bungie did something like this is with the Exo Stranger, a character that started out with one very vague purpose, was then written out of the story, only to be brought back and confirmed as LZ Bray, an existing character in Destiny lore. In my opinion, it's better to think of the darkness as a power source, similar to how we talk about the light. At the end of the Witch Queen, we not only hear from the witness, but we get to see what the character looks like. Unfortunately, for the time being, that's about all we know, and we'll likely be asking many of these questions about the witness and the Black Fleet for quite some time. But we do know they were responsible for manipulating the Hive and Savathun for a few thousand years, so whoever they are, they're more powerful than anything we've previously encountered. As I said before, the big bad of the Destiny universe has always been referred to as the Darkness, and we've seen hints of these pyramid ships known as the Black Fleet ever since the vanilla version of Destiny 2 in the fight against Gaul. From what we know, the Witness is the leader of the Black Fleet. Personally, I highly doubt the Witness is just going to be the next raid boss, even though the Witch Queen raid takes place inside the pyramid ship. My guess is we'll get a Scorn raid, and the Witness is a very major villain that will come further down the road. The Witness resembles many of the statues we kept seeing inside pyramid ships, dating all the way back to the Shadowkeep expansion. I find it likely that the Witness is responsible for humanity's collapse, whether or not they are the darkness personified, or even if they're inherently evil, is yet to be seen. It's important to remember the Witness has stated they're neither our friend nor foe. Instead, they believe they're our salvation. The Witness and the Black Fleet seem like they're more focused on self-preservation, almost like a higher entity pulling the strings and seeing themselves detached from many of these other conflicts. At the same time, the Black Fleet have been referred to as the Traveler's ancient enemy. And in the final cutscene, the Witness says, "Enough death, enough life." So it's safe to say the Witness is preparing to make its way into our solar system and intervene. Lightfall is the next expansion for Destiny 2. This will then be followed by the final shape, which will likely be the conclusion to Destiny 2. The Destiny universe will continue on past that, but this current saga will end, according to Bungie. After the campaign, Mara Sov learns more from Savathun's former worm, before jamming it into a grenade launcher, while the Vanguard scratches their heads over why the Traveler willingly gave Savathun the light. The Vanguard fears the Traveler will leave humanity, similar to how it left the Fallen during the Whirlwind. Over the next year, the Vanguard will likely prepare a final stand against the Witness in an attempt to prevent another collapse. working alongside some Cabal and Fallen, led by Keitel and Mithrax. But that's going to do it for the time being. Assuming the raid adds some more to the story, I'll make a video on that within the next couple weeks. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful or informative, you can let me know by leaving me a like. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.